Slippy-J Sunday, where the cool kids be. Alright, so yes, I've got another slip joint from TwoSun here. This is a Wong design. And this one has a bone Scrimshaw kind of going on it. Depending on yours, might have some fading kind of issues. I haven't really carried this all that much. This side just wasn't as dark with the dye than the other side was. But, you know, that happens. Also, something else that, you know, I should probably point out, this certainly isn't TwoSun specific or anything like that, but the reason why a lot of, especially slip joint makers, when they use bone for the handle, generally don't have screw together construction. They use pins. And that's because if you tighten them too much, you're just going to crack that bone. And when it's pinned, it has basically the correct amount of pressure on there. This is just a small crack, and it's perfectly fine. It's not really going to, you know, break off and do all sorts of ugly, jaggedy sort of things. But, yeah, it is something that you might want to take into consideration. Now, the reason why I took this one apart was this has titanium liners, and I really wanted it purple, and I got what I wanted. We have a lanyard bail back here. This is kind of one of my favorite ways for a lot of knives to include the possibility of lanyard carry. It just kind of keeps it out of the way and doesn't really mess with the flow of the knife. So definitely got to give them props on that, especially because this is a slip joint, which makes it just a little bit more difficult for the machining of the back spring there. But yeah, this one does a pretty darn good job. This guy's got double matchstick pulls on him, as we've seen on a couple of Wong designs. And yeah, we have kind of a spear point sort of thing. This is almost like a sodbuster-ish kind of design. But yeah, it does seem to kind of come down just a little bit. It's not a straight line. So you do have a little bit of belly kind of coming up here. This one I did accidentally polish a little bit too far up there with one of my finer belts, because I've also sharpened this on the work sharp chin onion blade grinders sort of thing, because a lot of these things are quite difficult to actually get reliably clamped into a fixed angle system without, you know, there being significant up and down kind of rocking that really messes with the angle on it. So there's that. I do have a bit of a nick there. That's not from blade wrap on the inside or anything like that. I have just used this thing quite a bit and just kind of messed the edge up on it. I had used this for basically opening all of my mail for oh geez, probably like 4 or 5 months or so before I replaced it with one of the QSP parrots, because, well, now that I have 3, I decided I would keep one in my junk drawer upstairs. But yeah, this thing is not a small knife, as you can see. It's a slip joint, but I can get all 4 fingers curled around that little sucker there. We have a pretty generous finger choil here, and a really acute plunge grind, so you have a lot of sharpenability kind of going on with this guy. Which is probably for the best, because this one doesn't exactly have the hardest M390 ever experienced. So to be able to have a little bit of sharpenability kind of built in is, at least for me on this particular knife, kind of necessary. You know, it isn't all that bad to strap up, unless you have, you know, crazy nick like that. But, yeah, you know, you can maintain this thing pretty darn easily. And, hey, it's super stain resistant, but, yeah, the edge retention isn't the most amazing thing in the world. So, there's that. But, yeah, these titanium liners, I think they came out super awesome on this thing. I really do like the contrast of that and the bone. Just, I don't know, I thought it was a good color. And yeah, we have probably about a 5.5 for the walk and talk sort of thing on this guy. It's got a decent back spring on there, but because it's got a longer length on there, if you are kind of bumping it from kind of the top or whatever, it does break just a little bit easier than you might want on some of your really hard springed slip joints. But yeah, all that being said, I haven't really had any problems with that whatsoever. Very neutral handle. So yeah, it'll fit in pretty much anybody's hands, I suppose. You know, I certainly do like that Wong does accommodate us with the larger flesh bits, so that's always nice. And yeah, I don't really have anything else necessarily to say in this. This guy does have, as you can see in there, probably not quite as bright as it should be. I don't know where my small one is. Hey, I got a pen. Yeah, you can see this one actually does have a stop pin on the inside. And that's, if you're not super familiar with it, if you rely on the back spring to stop the blade when it's closed there, you can push the blade when it's closed and it will force this spring up, which lets the blade come in contact with it and dull the thing out. And this kind of prevents that from happening. Depends on who you are. For me, for a long time with slip joints that I would keep in the bottom of my pocket, inside my pocket I would actually hold them and kind of fidget around with it or something like that. And then, you know, get all sad when I open my knife and it's all dull. So yeah, I do appreciate when they have a blade stop on a slip joint. It just, you know, for my particular quirks, works out fantastically for me. But yeah, how about if we go ahead and take a look at some measurements on this guy. Fairly thick for a slip joint. We got, you know, over half an inch, but just barely. But, you know, with how long this blade is too, it's fairly large. You know, you could also pretty easily carry this in a pouch. TwoSun does actually make some pouches. They make a small and a medium one for something like these, and something a little smaller like this guy here. And I have one somewhere, but I haven't really used it for slip joints. I've used it for a particular folding locking knife that doesn't come with a clip. So there's that. But yeah, there's other ones out there. MKM actually has these pretty snazzy little pocket leather pouch sort of things that you can clip onto your pocket via a magnet on both sides kind of thing. They're made from really nice leather and whatnot. They're only like $30 or something like that, which, you know, if you really want to class it up, then that's another great way to go about it. Anyway, I was talking about measurements. And yeah, we basically have 2.85. So just a smidge under 3 inches, which, you know, that'll also be nice for quite a few people out there, especially in European territories that aren't allowed to have locking knives or knives that are over 3 inches. Apparently Europeans don't have large hands by and large. I don't know how all of that works, but you know, that's European Union and whatnot. I don't know. I have not myself been to Europe, so I can't really comment on exactly how that is. I don't necessarily know how much knife stabby crime they might or might not have had beforehand or whatnot. But you know, I can at least say here, you know, firearms are a much different subject. But as far as knives go, if someone is doing some assault on another person with a knife, it's definitely not one of these. And, you know, it ain't even one of these more tactical kind of looking guys. It's, more or less, it's going to be kitchen knives because someone's being, you know, assaulted, and that's the first place that somebody who's not really familiar with things are like, that's a weapon, I can grab that. So, yeah, we don't really have a whole lot of, you know, tactical knife assault cases here in the U.S. I mean, obviously, you know, things were different in the old days, you know, back when the Sharks and the Jets were, you know, carrying butterfly knives and all that sort of stuff, but they were mostly harming each other. So, whatever. Man, another crazy diatribe. All right, well, yeah. How about if I go ahead and switch on over to the millimetric. And yeah, this is like 3.4. Yeah, 3.4 millimeters. So just a little bit thinner than that other one that we took a look at. But it's also another inch longer. So having a little bit more blade stock on there does make a little bit of sense. You can really power through some cuts on this too, especially with the kind of the slant back there, having a nice belly on there. You can really get down through some cardboard if that is so your desire with this knife. Oh, how about if we go ahead and look at some weights too? .66, 2.67 ounces, 75.5 grams. So, yeah, this just barely makes it under that ounce and inch mark, and that's nice. And, you know, if you do definitely have one with, you know, the more consistent Scrimshaw ink being on both of those, then, you know, it would certainly work out a little bit better. This does have all the carvings left in there. I'm actually curious on what kind of dye or ink or something like that I could reapply that on, since, you know, I already have the template actually carved in. It's just kind of worn out. But yeah, I mean, other than that, the bone has been holding up quite nicely. Don't really have any problems outside of, you know, me just tightening the ever-loving crap out of it and cracking it there. That's my own fault. So, but yeah, that is, as I mentioned earlier, a little bit of a pitfall when trying to use bone on a knife that's not in a pin construction manner. So there you go. All right, well, this was another fun knife review. Another Wong design in the can. So, as always, I appreciate y'all for watching. Have yourself a wonderful rest of your day, yo. Snap, snap.